That goes bobbing. He's bowled. Broad's had him playing into his stumps. A good delivery. Hit the pitch, cut back. He's chopped it into his stumps, and Broad is embraced.
I've been thinking maybe for a couple of weeks about it, and about 8:30 last night, I made the call and made the decision. So yeah, it's been a huge privilege and a huge honour to represent both Nottinghamshire and England for such a long period of time, and ultimately something inside of me wanted to finish playing cricket at the top level, and England versus Australia here at the Oval in what's been one of the most entertaining, fun, brilliant Ashes series that I can remember, and certainly what I've played in, seems an appropriate time, to be honest. And I feel like I'm bowling really well. I've still got a lot to give. I still feel like I could carry on, but ultimately I think the decision came down to wanting to finish at the very top, and this just feels like this series has been.
And he bowled him! And Clark is gone, and that's a significant breakthrough. Broad is off. He's absolutely delighted. He's been mobbed by his team. They had to chase him.
It's been an incredible ride. I certainly don't think I'd have got to these sort of heights without my bowling partner Jimmy Anderson. We've spurred each other on for many years and learnt off each other so much, and we keep pushing each other. We've kept sort of improving each other as bowlers, and I owe a huge amount to him, and ultimately I've been so lucky to play with many of the greats of the game for England. I won't even try and list all of them, but a lot of those players that have ended up on lists somewhere, I've been very fortunate enough to share changing rooms with, and ultimately when you're part of an amazing changing room and a really good team, it improves you as a player. And I certainly know I'm not one of the most skillful or best bowlers around, but I know I've got a competitive spirit and an emotion that carries me a long way in Test match cricket, and that's what I've relied on through all these years, really.
In comes Broad, bowls, and that's hit in the air, down towards fine leg, it's caught! And Broad's taken his 600th Test wicket through a very good catch, down in the deep at long leg.
Yeah, I mean, 600 Test wickets. Never in my dreams did I think that would be a thing, really. But very special. It's got a nice ring to it. I think back to when I got my Test cap. Actually, Varney was the skipper who gave it to me, and Surrey and Botham presented me my cap in Colombo back in 2007. And my ultimate feelings there were, it never felt like the end game, just getting my Test cap. I wanted to win Test matches, win series, create memories with that. So, I feel like some players sort of feel like they've sort of achieved what they wanted to achieve when they get given the Test cap, but I knew that I wanted more than that. I knew that was just the start, and I wanted to create some memories with it. And I've been really fortunate to play in some fantastic teams along the way, doing that towards 600 wickets. But never did I think that I'd be up in the 160 of playing Test matches and up with some of the greats of the game in the wicket tally.
Here comes Broad, bowls, edged and taken at slip. It's the end of Dhoni, a flat-footed drive, and he was comfortably taken at second slip. And well done, Stuart Broad.
I think my emotions have been sky high this series. I feel very proud that I've been able to do that and be there for the captain when he's needed me. And ultimately, I think my emotions of playing in Ashes cricket, my sort of family history of that, and how much I love it and thrive off it is something that's carried me through these 5.5 Test matches, 4.5 against Australia. So yeah, I mean, I suppose Ashes cricket's the ultimate competitiveness for an English cricketer, and I feel like that's always brought the best out of me.
Broad to Labuschagne, 3 slips in position. Here we go. Broad pushing away, past the stumps. Labuschagne edges, he's gone. Broad 2 and 2. It's a stunner from Johnny Bairstow, diving to his right. Broad is racing away. He's running around the ground, slapping hands with everyone he meets. He's got Marnus Labuschagne, first ball.
This series without doubt has been spectacular. It's been incredible to be a part of. I think every session you just don't know what's going to happen, so you're on the edge of your seat, and that's the sort of cricket I love. And ultimately, I wanted to leave the playing side of the game loving it. I wanted to leave with great memories and great experiences, and the past 14 months have just been out of this world for me. Being part of Stokesy and Baz's new leadership group and being a part and seeing what they can do to a mindset in a team, and I'll love cricket forever for that.
In comes Broad and he bowls, and that's lofted up to mid-off, and there it is. Stuart Broad takes his 6th wicket, and England have won. They've won the series, they've won the Ashes.
Certainly last March there were times where I thought I wouldn't play for England again, and that really hurt me deep down, to be honest. So to get the opportunity to put on the England shirt again and have the sort of 14 months the team has had, the entertainment they've brought to the country, and to be a part of that, taking wickets and celebrating Test match wins has been a huge pleasure. And I've learned so much about sort of leadership and management from those two in the past 14 months, and I've been part of some fantastic England teams, but it's lovely knowing that I'm playing my last game of cricket with one of the best of them.
Broad runs in, bowls, and that's edged and caught. It's all over. One of the most dramatic mornings Test cricket you'll ever see.
You play cricket for entertainment and for fun. So even when I was 12 and playing for Edgerton Park, the first question when I get in the car was, have you had a great day? Have you enjoyed it? Because ultimately in cricket you can have a brilliant day with your friends, even if you get no wickets or score no runs.
And here's Broad, just listen to the noise. He's up the wicket, he bowls might, it's bowled him! It's bowled him, he's taken the hat-trick! It's fantastic! Broad has hit his off stump, Kumar is out, 3 wickets in 3 balls.
It always felt like a hobby to me, and ultimately I've reconnected massively with that under Baz and Stokesy. I think that's been a lot of their philosophy, and I'm not speaking out of turn really to say the past year and 14 months under these two guys I've loved every moment of it, and it's been an absolute pleasure to play with them, and it's really brought it back to feeling like I'm playing for Edgerton Park on a Saturday for fun.
Good old Edgerton Park. We'll hear more about Edgerton Park over the next few moments, I'm sure. Stuart Broad, of course, playing his 167th in his final Test match. He's only the 2nd fast bowler in history to take more than 600 Test wickets and has more Ashes wickets for England than any other bowler. So, who to speak to now? Well, his dad, Chris. Of course, an Ashes winner himself, player of the series in the 86-87 series in Australia, and one very proud dad, I'd imagine. Chris, good to see you.
Yes, absolutely. Hi, Jonathan. Nice to be here. I did notice in that package that we just listened to, there were very few batting, if any, batting highlights. And yet he still goes on about his highest Test score, which is better than mine. So.
But we do. It's interesting you mentioned that because of what happened in that game. Somehow, and wrongly, entirely wrongly, that innings has sort of become devalued, wasn't it? Because of those 3 or 4 no balls that were bowled. And it was a terrific innings.
And actually, I got the artist
Jocelyn
to do a painting of that particular innings with Jonathan Trott, because it was a record 9th wicket stand for England at the time. I don't know whether it still is now. So I got that done at quite a cost, I have to say, and I presented it to him, and he poo-pooed it. He said, I don't want to remember that innings because of what it is, because of what happened with the Pakistanis. Yeah. So I have it hanging in my house now, which is fine.
He's also hit, and Andy's not here, but he listed the number, the sort of 6 hitters for England. And he's up there in both of them and all these. I mean, 55 sixes, I think he's hit. I mean, that one that went in there today. So you're right. His batting shouldn't be glossed over.
I think it's appropriate that his batting ended on him hitting a 6.
Yeah.
And it was a good 6 as well. A short ball that he managed to get in line with and pull over square legs.
The last ball he'll ever face in serious cricket. He's hit for 6.
Absolutely.
Oh, God.
Brilliant.
He'll be telling us about that for a while, I suspect. So what about this decision then? I mean, I was speaking to his mum earlier on, and she was very philosophical about it all, and heard yesterday morning that he'd made his mind up. That's kind of where you were too, I suppose.
Absolutely. I got a phone call at 8 o'clock in the morning saying, Dad, I've made my mind up. This is going to be my last Test match.
Were you expecting it?
Kind of. I think at the start of the season he had planned to do something like this, but then when the Ashes started and he was enjoying it so much and taking a number of wickets, he was unsure. I asked him a couple of weeks ago, I said, are you still planning on retiring at the end of the series? And he said, I'm not sure, because I'm enjoying it so much. So we came here for this match, perhaps not expecting him to retire, but when he phoned me yesterday morning and I thought about it, it was absolutely the right thing to do.
Yes.
You know, he's got nothing to prove. 167 test matches as a bowler. I mean, you know, as a batter, I feel tired doing that. But, you know, you as a bowler know how difficult it is to strap those boots on and go out there without too much pain and discomfort, because all bowlers bowl with pain and discomfort. But he's done it 167 times, and Jimmy 180 odd times. I mean, that is extraordinary as well. But I wasn't surprised, because he loves England versus Australia, the Ashes contest. It's been an amazing series, as have the last any number in this country. They've been fantastic series to watch. And how are you going to better this? You're not. I mean, there are so many people who have retired here at the Oval, great names who have gone out in spectacular fashion. Of course, Shane Warne and Glenn McGrath saw here earlier. You know, they played their last Ashes game here. It's great. It's great that they go out like this, and we have the opportunity to applaud them.
Yeah, and they can. It's like Stuart can choose to go at the top, and that's really something.
Yes, and I heard you saying the other day, yesterday, or it might have been this morning, that very few people actually get to choose when they can end their career, and he's been very fortunate to be able to do that. And I hope that, you know, there are enough good bowlers around in England today who are going to be able to step into his shoes and take on the mantle, really.
I was watching as he came through that guard of honour. The Australians formed there, and they cut to you, and there you are with your camera.
Oh, really?
Taking a picture. So how proud is that?
Yeah, listen, I mean, it's a wonderful thing that he's managed to achieve over his career, and I just thought I wanted to, you know, remember it for as long as possible. And these phones are incredible with their cameras these days. So I can put it in there, and someone will be able to tell me where I can store it and keep it safe and what have you. But yes, it was what amazed me was the applause, the sound, the noise as he came on to the field in the first place. And then obviously as they came on as a fielding team, and even when they went out to field a ball on the boundary, there was amazing applause from the crowd here. I think, you know, the great thing is they love what he's achieved. And I think he said that he's gone out virtually every time to play at the best that he possibly can. He's never really just drifted in a game. He's always tried his hardest to get a result, whether he's bowling or whether he's batting.
People respect hard work. People respect hard work,
absolutely.
don't they? Yeah,
absolutely.
Have you seen how many bandanas there are here today?
No.
All around the crowd. People come wearing white bandanas, which is only a fairly new fashion accessory that he's had since COVID, I think. No, but if you look around when you go back, you'll see loads of it. Now, you're a competitive so-and-so, and I know that from our playing days.
Yes.
His mum's a competitive so-and-so, I know that, and quite stubborn. She's 17 years I've been trying to get her on the radio. And she finally relented today. So I guess, therefore, it's not surprising that Stuart does have this kind of feisty side to him. Yeah,
and I would go as far as saying it manifests itself in my daughter Gemma as well.
Yes.
You know, she's a stubborn old so-and-so as well. But listen, I think in the world of sport it obviously helps. And he's... But having said that he is feisty and competitive and stubborn, what have you, he's a lovely kid as well. And, you know, if anyone asks him for an autograph, I heard someone you were talking about a young kid saying, can I have your bandana? He had a sign here at the Oval. And I'm sure if Stuart has seen that, or someone's told Stuart about that, then without doubt he will give that bandana away.
Yeah.
But he is a lovely kid, a very generous young boy as well, which is, young boy, goodness, 37, he's not a young boy any longer. But he is very genuine and a lovely kid. And I'm sure, actually, with a young family now, he will devote himself as much as he can to doing that and looking after Annabella and you know, it'd be nice to see him do that.
But you need that competitive edge, don't you? I mean, it makes the difference really between the nearlies and people like Stuart. You know, those who don't quite make it. So much is I mean, I watch him. And God, I must have watched virtually every Test match he's played and commentated on so many wickets, and I can see him. If he's just a little bit below or what it may be, he'll get angry about something.
Yeah.
He'll make himself get wound up. At Lords, he was angry about a white line that had been put across across a bowler's run-up to mark something. So he got the groundsman out to paint it green.
Yeah.
And he felt angry about that, and bang, he came running in again. He was fine. I mean, it's very clever how he manages to make himself dig deep. That's the point, isn't it? You know, he never gives up.
I remember when you and I were playing Gordon Greenwich. You know, you always feared when Gordon Greenwich had a limp of any sort, because you knew that he was going to score runs. Viv Richards as well. If he didn't score runs in the first innings of a match, you knew, particularly against Gloucestershire when he was playing for Somerset, but even in international games, you always knew that he would bounce back and get some runs. These top performers have this ability to be able to suddenly flick a switch and away they go. And I think Stuart, yes, you know, get angry. I'm sure opposition are saying, let's just keep Stuart down, you know, don't upset him, just keep him going.
Yeah.
I remember Alan Border saying to his Australian team in 86-87 to Greg Ritchie, who gave me some verbals in Adelaide, and I went on to score my second 100 in Australia. And I remember hearing that Alan Border had given Greg Ritchie a right dressing down by giving me some verbals, because it obviously stirred me up and got me going again. So he said, never ever give Chris Broad any verbals, because it obviously spurs him on. So that's where it comes from, I suppose.
Let's go to Edgerton Park. Club very, very dear to my heart. They're in the middle of Melton Mowbray, which has had a hard time recently, as listeners of the last Test match will know. It's a beautiful ground.
Yes.
And where he began playing club cricket, of course, and I know how proud they all are of him there.
Yes, and he goes back there whenever he possibly can. He has he's great with keeping up with his roots, with his school friends. You know, he loves all of that sort of stuff. Maid Stuart was actually going to Australia, going to Hoppers Crossing, which was organised through Edgerton Park.
Yep.
Hoppers Crossing is just outside Melbourne, and he had a season there, staying with a local family, playing in men's cricket really for the first time.
18 then, was he?
Yeah. And I was over there in my role as a ref during the Christmas time, met up with him, and he'd left as a boy. He was definitely a young man when I met up with him at Christmas time. And I think it was because that, you know, it's so much more competitive in local club cricket over there than it is in this country, that he actually had to stand up for himself and fight back.
Yes.
And I think that's where, you know, thank you to the Australians for teaching him how to play cricket at the best level,
hardening him up.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Yeah.
When did you first think? You know, I think Stuart's going to make this. I think Stuart, a first-class cricketer, which is a big step in itself. But I wonder when you thought, you know, I think he might just play for England here.
Well, I'm not sure I ever thought that at the time, but I remember going to Leicestershire, which was his first club, and thank you to Leicestershire for seeing the ability of him as a bowler, because I didn't see that, and I was looking at his batting and I thought, well, I don't really think he's going to make it in first-class cricket as a batsman. But they saw him as a bowler, gave him the opportunity, and I went to watch a T20 game between Leicestershire and Notts at Grace Road, and Stephen Fleming was the opening batter and captain for Notts at the time. Stuart bowled 2 or 3 overs at Stephen Fleming, and he couldn't get the ball off the square in a T20 game. And I thought then, blimey, this chap can bowl, because he had a great line, a great length, and Stephen Fleming, it was before all these ramps and moving left and right and doing all the stuff that they do these days, which is terrific, by the way. I love all that sort of stuff. But he had him tied down for 2 or 3 overs, and I thought then that Stuart can bowl.
Yes.
And it wasn't long before he made his T20 debut in Bristol, and then his ODI debut in Cardiff, and I mean, it was just fantastic.
It's true about the bowling, because it has come a long way, and that's an obvious thing to say, but it did, even when he started playing for England in Test cricket. I thought, okay, I wonder how many Test matches he'll play, and it was a horrible debut in Colombo and 100 degrees and so on, but he didn't have much to his bowling there, and he was tall, and he got a bit of bounce. But how he's worked at it and developed it, I mean, he gives Otis Gibson a lot of credit for that, I think, and others, of course, along the way, people who he's come up against and so on.
Of course, he played with Otis at Leicester, which is where they
that was it. Then
the friendship grew.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Otis came on as the England bowling coach, and they already had that friendly relationship and were able to get together and work out plans as to how to take things forward. But, you know, even David Saker, he's had a good relationship with David Saker here, who's been England bowling coach twice now, and they get on really well together.
So I think it's pretty easy. It goes away and works, isn't it? I mean, you talk about something and he'll work at it until he gets it right.
And he does work at it.
Yes.
You know, there are times when I've seen him in the indoor nets just on his own with the ball and working out wrist positions and run-ups, and so he does work at it.
Yeah.
You know, great for the ECB only giving him a test contract because he's had time to work at it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think he would have played, or Jimmy had played as long as they have if they were still playing ODIs and T20s. So it was good forethought from the ECB to give him an opportunity just to play Test cricket and to achieve what he's achieved at this stage. So,
last thought, Chris, I have to let you go. Favourite memory? I mean, is there one? I mean, for me, I think it had to be Trent Bridge. We heard a lot of there. His 8 for 15.
We're here at the Oval, and I remember in 2009 I was doing a bit of hospitality for the PCA at lunchtime, and Stuart came on to bowl just after that lunch period and got those 5 wickets.
Yeah.
And I was having a quick bite to eat and a glass of wine. And I was watching these wickets fall. All right, I can't move now. I can't move. And another wicket. I still can't move.
The old superstition.
Simon Mayo, who was doing his programme from here, he said, we need to have a chat to you because Stuart's on a roll. He's picking up some wickets. I said, I've had a glass of wine. I can't come and... No, he said, you sound fine. Just come and have a chat. So I came and had a chat. And I think that he said it, that he realised then that he actually belonged at this level.
Yeah.
And
it's a great spell.
And I saw
knees up, charging in.
And then of course there's South Africa, Trent Bridge. I mean the 8 for 15 was amazing.
Yes, it was.
But lots of happy memories, which I'm sure he will look back on over the next number of years and enjoy.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing yours, Chris. Lovely to see you again. I shall catch up with you and Rose, hopefully, shortly, soon.
Thank you.
Great, thanks for coming in. Really good. Chris Broad, of course. Chatting about Stuart, and let's find out more about what Stuart Broad is really like. Yesterday, of course, we chatted to his fiancée, the Radio 1 presenter, Molly King.
At home, he's so relaxed. He's so chilled. And then I see him, I watch him on the TV, and I'm like, is that the same person? Because he's so relaxed and just gentle and sweet. And then I see him out there being so competitive, and I'm like, is that Stuart? But my God, he loves it.
Yes,
he
I know
absolutely loves it.
He's had a brilliant summer.
Oh, amazing. He's just, I mean, I don't think he ever thought that he would play every single test, but he's just been amazing. He just adores it. He just lives it and breathes it, and even when he's not playing, it's at home, he's watching it, and he just loves it. We just try, and without sounding corny, we try to make as much time to kind of support each other and be there for each other. Like, there's no way I ever would have missed this. You know, it's amazing to be here and to support him, and I was down at Lord's as well. It's just nice to come and see him do what he loves so much. So
what about the bandana look? This is something that came in during lockdown, didn't it?
It did.
COVID.
I think it did, because he wasn't able to cut the hair during COVID.
Oh, that was the reason.
So we started the bandana, and then I think he had a really good summer, didn't he?
He did.
When the first time he wore the bandana, and then he hasn't taken it off since.
No, sort of a lucky thing, is it?
I think so. I mean, what do you think of the bandana?
Well, actually, I quite like it. Because you're right, he was getting a bit straggly, wasn't he? So
I did try and trim it for him in lockdown, but obviously I've never used a razor like that.
No.
So I had the razor the wrong way, and it did the tightest possible cut just above his ear.
Like a zero.
Yes. And he was like, stop right there. I was like, I can't stop right there, Stuart, because you've now got one side that's a zero, and the other side, it's all got to go. So that wasn't a great afternoon for us, that one, no. So hence the bandana coming in.
Well, I like it, and it clearly brings him good luck. But he's certainly a doting dad. I've seen him in action at Nick's 70th. I mean, you can't accuse him of not. I mean, he's hands-on, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He's so proud of her, isn't he? He really is. Yeah, he likes to sort of parade her around a little bit, doesn't he? He's amazing. He's very hands-on. I mean, I'm sure she's well, I'm sure she'll get into the cricket when she's older.
Yeah.
Let's see if she has a little bandana. He actually came home the other...
What do you think?
If Stuart's got anything to do with it, then I'm sure she will. But he came home the other day with a little England Ashes shirt that has Broad on the back. So adorable.
Nice.
But no, he's very hands-on, absolutely adores her, and she adores him as well. Her face lights up when he comes in the door. So, yeah,
That's
just
nice.
Adorable.
How long does it carry on for? I mean, that's the question, isn't it? I mean, he just seems to be ageless. I remember a conversation with him 4 years ago, and he was kind of talking about, will I make it through? I don't know. What shall I do? Sort of chatting about things.
Yeah.
And here he is, 4 years on, and he's bowling better than ever.
Well, that's the thing. I feel like
Does he ever
he is...
give it any thought about how long he's going to carry on for?
Do you know what? It's just a decision that's for him. You know, it's his whole life, so it's such a big decision. But he's playing, I feel like, better than he ever has. But yeah, it's his whole world, isn't it? As you know. So yeah, who knows?
She sold me down the river there, and everybody else. Well done, Molly. She knew, and she answered that question with the straightest of faces. What a character. So anyway, we've heard from Stuart Broad, Stuart's father, Chris. And of course his mother Carol has had a huge influence on his cricket career, and I've been trying to get her on the radio for years, and today I've finally managed to convince her to speak to me before play.
Today is right. 17 years of no's.
I know.
I know. And today is right. Everything about today is right.
Yes. When did you know? Did he run it past his mum first, or?
We knew for certain yesterday morning.
Right.
So yesterday I was a fidget.
Okay.
Because
I'm
our
sure.
lips were sealed. But yesterday was a great batting day, so I had something to focus on. But
Yeah.
we only knew yesterday morning for certain.
Yes, you chose your words carefully for certain. So, I mean, has there been a bit, just drifting around?
That's why I usually say no to you, because I'm not going to ask those revealing questions. Well, of course you have conversations.
Yes.
You do. But Stuart's a master of making the right decision. So it's always his decision, and he's done it again.
Yeah.
It's the perfect time, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you just went with it, presumably, did you? I mean, he'd made his mind up. He'd spoken to Ben Stokes, hadn't he, I think, by then? So
Yeah,
that was
completely.
it.
It's his story to tell. Which is why I always say, no, I won't talk about him. But he's got it right, and this is right. And being Australia, that is perfect.
Yeah. What are you
He's an
expecting?
Ashes man.
Yeah, well, he is. Let's talk about his competitive nature as well, because you're quite competitive, Carol.
Yes.
I've known you a long time. His dad's quite competitive, for
Yes.
sure. So I suppose it's inevitable that he's quite feisty, isn't he, Stuart?
He is feisty in everything, competitive, but
Yes.
he's not feisty at home, as you well know, because
Yes.
you've known him since he was 4.
Yes.
But yeah, if you just anything, he's competitive, and he doesn't like coming second.
No. And is that why you think that the Ashes really makes his juices flow?
Yeah, I don't know what it is about the Ashes. I think it's just something extra special about it, because playing any match is the same. And I've always said to him, you know you can carry on if you tingle when you step on the grass.
Yes.
That's all it's about, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. When did he get his first tingle? When do you remember Stuart first playing cricket? Or any sort of cricket? Playing in the garden? I don't know, Gemma.
Well, when he was tiny. Because for years, if you said, what would you like for your birthday? A ball.
Really?
He was ever so cheap. That's all he wanted, was a ball. So that's all he's done. But he's played all sports as sportsmen should,
Yes.
in my opinion, because it's great. You just get that passion for doing it, don't you?
Yes.
And he has something extra, like they all do, that every person on this field has, haven't they?
Yeah,
They've got
a bit
something
more.
extra.
Yeah. So what was the garden like in the young Stuart days then? I mean, were there nets set up? I mean, was he breaking windows? Or what was going on out
They
there?
had to... No, he never broke a window, actually. We didn't have any ornaments in the house. Because if it rained, he played inside.
Right.
We did have the floodlight put on the back of the house so he could play at night.
Oh, very important.
And they had to make do.
Yes.
So stumps were a bucket, or... his bat was a treasured, saved-up possession.
Yes.
Yeah, he just got on with it with all his pals and...
Yeah. And Gemma, was she involved as well?
Oh, Gemma could bowl better than Stuart. And Gemma
Really?
could catch better than Stuart, so she trained him.
Oh, really? Yeah. And you, of course, I mean, you've always kept in the background, Carol, which is very admirable. But you played a big part in his development, didn't you? I mean, you were running him round from game to game and getting him involved at Edgerton Park in our beloved Melton Mowbray. You know, you've always hidden your light under your bushel as far as this is concerned, haven't you? You put a lot of hard yards in.
It's their story. It's same with Gemma. She's done, you know, charging around the place with her as well. But it's about people, isn't it?
Yes.
And the camaraderie that as parents we have is immense, as you know. And so it's about people and enjoying it. And that's what I've enjoyed.
How did you stop being too pushy? That's often a problem with parents, isn't it?
Pushy.
No, you haven't. So what's well, you can be quite pushy.
Well, I am pushy only with you. I'm not pushy with him. Well, because they can be what they want to be. So if you want to be that thing, you're going to do it, aren't you? You're going to make it. You don't need your mum to say, go out and play 3 hours of cricket today.
No.
He'll go out and play 7 hours. So he's just no, I've never been pushy.
No. He always said to me that after playing a game, all you'd say to him was, did you enjoy it?
True. Same words every time.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it?
Yes.
I won't tell you what you said sometimes.
If you haven't got any runs. What about the time? So there he is at Edgerton Park. Lovely ground in beautiful Melton Mowbray. And he went to Australia, didn't he, for a winter?
Went off to Hoppers.
Yes, right. And he went away about 5'7" and came back 6'7", didn't he, or something ridiculous, didn't he?
Yeah, it was. Well, he had grown a bit before he went to Hoppers,
right.
So he was quite tall when he went there.
Right.
But yeah, he was like me. I was tiny as a teenager and shot up, and so did he. And of course, he was so little when he was born that it took him so long to catch up. But yeah,
he got there in the end.
Yeah, you didn't recognise him after. He was 6 inches in a year.
That's extraordinary.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're down there, Carol. You're up on the balcony with the Anderson parents celebrating Jimmy's birthday, aren't you?
It's Jimmy's birthday.
How are you going to feel when he comes out?
Probably the same as I always feel, because I've never changed. The first day I saw him come down, I felt that tingle, and I still feel the tingle.
Yeah, lovely. Carol Broad talking to me before play today. So we really have. I think we've been through virtually the entire Broad family. Gemma came on some years ago at Trent Bridge, I remember, and very proud of Stuart, and so they should be as well. Let's talk to Stephen Finn about actually being on the same field as Stuart. We haven't really touched that yet, have we? So hi, Steve.
Good afternoon, Eggers.
Yeah. Now then, go on then. What's he like? I mean, you've played so many matches alongside him. What's he like actually on the field?
Well, he's incredibly focused, and I think his family alluded to it there, the competitiveness. You just got that feeling sometimes when he got the ball in his hand and you're stood at mid-on, and those start pumping and you look across, you're stood at mid-off or mid-on, and you look across sideways as he's running in. And his knees, it felt like were almost hitting him in his chest, and you just knew that it was going to be one of those spells. I remember vividly that 8 for 15 at Trent Bridge obviously was an amazing spell of bowling. There was a spell in South Africa as well at the Wanderers, I think, where he turned the game on its head and took 6 for in no time. And he's one of those bowlers, amazingly consistent all the time, but then when he really wanted to switch it on, those knees pumped, and it was a pleasure to be alongside him.
Helpful, I mean, for you, you played a fair section, but then in and out a bit. I mean, how is he to you?
Yeah, he's a bowler's bowler. I think sometimes you go into teams and you see bowlers a bit protective sometimes. But Jimmy and Broady, both of them, when you come into the team, they welcome you with open arms. I was very young. I was 20 when I first played alongside Stuart. And he'd been through it all at my age when he started playing for England. And he just really helped you. He stood up for you. He'd guide you through passages of play, which I think is vital for the senior bowlers. And he'd have only been 24 at the time, or 23, and I'd have been 20. But he was so much more experienced than me in international cricket, and maybe at times saw a bit of himself in me when I was first starting it. He was always helpful and again, a great teammate.
Yeah, I can only imagine what it's been like to be actually on the field for that 8 for 15, for instance. I mean, when he really is flying into bowl, with those knees up. It was always a bit of a giveaway from here too. When the knees were up, he was charging in. You knew he was dangerous, but he had these incredible spells, didn't he?
Yeah, and it's funny because the question to that would be, why does he not just pick his knees up every time? But I think
yes.
his great skill was always to recognise really important moments in games, and he's done it in this series. He's turned a couple of games on their head with spells that he's bowled in this series, getting the crowd behind him. He didn't quite do that as much 10 years ago when I first played with him, but he just has that great talent of recognising moments in games, and when it was really important, Alistair Cook, Andrew Strauss, Joe Root would always throw the ball to him, and he'd be your man in that situation.
Just a quickie, because the players are out in the middle. Steve, what's it like in the dressing room when he's got his boots off?
He enjoys sleeping. There was always the Ashes tour of 2010-11. As bowlers, we'd always just disappear into the dressing room and end up getting 40 winks underneath a physio bed or something. So he's very relaxed, always engaging and always engaged in the game, actually. Always talking about it, and you don't play as long 602 wickets without being really in tune with the game that's being played, and he was always great at that.